Hello everyone, and welcome to another Let's Play of The Royal Trap by Hanako Games. My name is Anna Mardal. We are going through today to do Chapter 6. We're going for Gaston's good ending. When we last left off in Chapter 5, Gaston and Cassidy and Colette had secreted Madeline out of the dungeons, and now she is posing as one of Gaston's maids under the name Mathilde. So let's get into that. Chapter 6, The Maid. When I emerged from the bath in my new uniform, twisting my wet hair in front of me, Prince Gaston is waiting. Ah, a vision of loveliness! Thank you, my lord. No, that will not do. You must address me in the fashion of my sweet Colette. Yes, monsieur. What a delightful refrain. Truly I am a fortunate man, blessed with such a pair of doves. Does the dress fit you well enough? We have time to make adjustments, if you like. No, it's quite all right, really. It's certainly a better fit than Cassidy's clothing. Colette is a bit smaller than I am, but only a bit. And so, the secret heroine returns to a safe nest. Madeline. My name rolls warmly off his tongue, like a compliment to a chef after a well-prepared dish. In the princess's name, all of my resources are at your disposal. I await your command. What do we do next? You don't know? My beloved told me only to await your arrival and make you safe. She said that you would know what to do. Ah, well, she told me that she didn't have time to explain it all to me, and that we would talk later. Of course, we will wait for her words. Do you know when she will arrive? No, I don't. I don't know what's happening on her end. As far as she's concerned, I suppose, she went to visit her kidnapper in the dungeons, perhaps to check on my welfare. Then I must have attacked her and taken her place in order to escape. The king and queen may suspect that's not entirely true, but they would have to give that as the official story. In either case, they'll have a lot of questions for Cassidy, so she'll probably be busy for a while. Not to mention that coming straight here might draw her parents' attention to Gaston and to me. So how will she manage to reach us? I hope she's thought that far ahead. I see. At that moment, my stomach lets out an embarrassingly loud rumble. Ah, pardon me. You have not eaten? I had to leave the cell before today's meal was delivered. That is not right. A woman must eat to keep up her strength, or else she might fade away. I know! I will bring food to you. You don't have to do that. I wish to. After all, does not a heroine deserve a reward? We will have our own private feast and celebrate our victories. Thank you, monsieur. No, thank you. I must go and find the finest meats and cheese. Only the best will do. I do not need to ask my Colette to watch over you while I am away. I already know that she will. I will return. And with that, he sweeps grandly out of the room. So, is he going to ride all the way to Alala and investigate the butchers one by one? He wishes to do you a kindness. I know. I would hardly starve so quickly. Colette is a strange one. When we first met, she seemed too shy to raise her head. Always she is quiet, except when it comes to the subject of Gaston, and then she leaps like a tiger to his defense. There is some kind of bond between them. It does not quite feel like a romance, nor like the playful, near-brother relationship I share with Oscar. Perhaps it is something more like the story that Dolores told me of her origins? Did he rescue you? Pardon me? What did you say? Prince Gaston, I'm just wondering how you ended up working for him. Given his personality, I thought there might be a dramatic story. Plucked from obscurity, like a rose in the wilderness, carried away to his castle, something like that. Oh no, he did not choose me. I was assigned to him. Oh. I wait for more details, but none seem to be forthcoming. Well then. I tug at the strands of my damp hair, trying to pull them in order. Here, let me do that. You don't have to. You don't have to serve me. It's all right, really. I enjoy dressing hair. And I will do a better job of it than you will. I suppose, comparing Oscar's hair to Gaston's, one would assume Colette to be the better hairdresser. Well, all right then. She settles me on a stool and takes her place beside me, humming to herself as she runs a brush gently through my hair. It is a strange feeling, totally unfamiliar, and yet comforting on some subconscious level. Hold your head still, straight up, like so. Sorry, I'm not used to this. I look after a prince. No one looks after me. Not even your family? I don't live with them. I always liked to brush my sister's hair, to dress them. They were better than dolls, prettier and more pleasant to hold. I have a sister. She never brushed my hair. Older or younger? Older. What's her name? Lulled by her soft strokes, I say a name I haven't voiced in a long time. Juliet. That's a pretty name, but she never did this for you? Well, she was the heir. She had more important things to do. The brush pauses against my shoulder. Oh, yes, you're noble-born. More or less. Less, mostly. I have no fortune of my own, and I work for my living. If I ever marry, my household would not be a noble one. I see. I can feel her drawing away. I reach for a safer topic. But you have sisters. Younger ones? Yes, Estelle and Pirin. Pirin? That's an unusual name. It means little stone, right? Yes, our pebble, who is a jewel in her own way. She will have to find work soon, now that she is growing older. I go home to visit them whenever I have a day of liberty. That's sweet. It must be nice to be so close to your family. Oscar has sisters too, but they usually tease him, and I'm just another part of him as far as they're concerned. When we were younger, I used to have to defend him from their pranks. Like you defend Gaston. Now she sets the brush down and takes a seat. He is a good man, you know. I believe you. When I first was employed at the castle in Bardowin, it was as a junior laundry maid. I was assigned to Gaston only as a stopgap when his personal maid quit without notice. She said such dreadful things about him, that he displayed himself lewdly to her, that he pursued her incessantly. I was terrified. I was not used to men at all, and such a man. I thought he was a monster. I was so frightened I lost my way. I dropped a stack of towels and they scattered over the stairs, and I wept. Then I heard this voice, warm and deep, calling me a little bird, offering me his hand, his assistance. He is a good man. He sees things his own way. People do not understand, but he always means to be kind. She sighs. I am sorry for some of the things I said to you before. You are not a beast, and you had your reasons for what you did. But you did lie to me. I couldn't tell you the truth. Not that. I understand this cloak and dagger. It is necessary sometimes to hide. But you used your emotions against me. You told me that you were lonely and frightened. You pretended to desire my company, and it was not true. You were using me to reach Gaston, to reach the princess. That was all that mattered to you. So we have a couple options here of I had no choice or I was lonely too. So I'm going to pick I was lonely. I was desperate, and you were the only option I had available. But I was lonely. Have you ever been locked up alone in the dark? Even if you had completely refused to help me or carry my messages, I would have been happy to have you come and scold me. I do not scold. Yes, you did. It was a surprise, really. When we first met, I thought you were a mouse. But even a mouse has teeth, no? I'm sorry. I don't mean to embarrass you. No, it's all right. Seeing the dark flush spread across her cheeks, I am suddenly reminded of her reaction earlier. Were you really upset before, in the bath? I thought you were acting, but... Of course I was upset. I was exposed before strange men to laugh at me. It was horrible. I wanted to disappear. Didn't you? If I could disappear, we wouldn't have gone through that to begin with. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to make fun of you. I suppose it doesn't bother me so much. I've seen men out of their clothes by accident once or twice, and it's not a big deal. So, the same. Those guards didn't hurt me, and what they did see protected me. You say that so easily. I hate the idea of those men thinking of me, leering at me, making suggestions. I'm sorry. I didn't realize it was that bad for you. Gaston shouldn't have made you do this if you felt that way. But he's always suggesting things like that to you, isn't he? That is not the same. I know him. I know that he would never hurt me. He did not force me to play that role. He asked. He believed it was important. He wants only to aid the Princess Cassidy. She says that we need you to make our plans, and he agrees. And so I do this for him, as I have always done, because he is a good man, and he asked it of me. So it doesn't bother you that he asks for such strange things, like dressing up as a princess for him? That it is for both of us. I could never. As myself, I could never. Never what? Dance with him. Make replies to his compliments. These things that he needs for practice. It is easier if I am not myself. I suppose I understand. A disguise can be freeing, can give you a measure of confidence. An extremely shy maid might feel better about advising her prince in matters of love if she was someone else. So, does he have any other wigs? What? For other princesses? Oh, no. There has only been Princess Cassidy for him, as long as I have been with him. He has written so many letters to her by now. They're writing to each other? That's a surprise. If Cassidy and Gaston have been maintaining a private correspondence, then that completely changes the odds on the future succession of Guelinor. It's also rather scandalous for the same reason. By etiquette, a princess should not be in contact with any official suitors until she becomes eligible for courtship at the age of 18. Which isn't to say it doesn't happen, especially as even a child princess must still make some social appearances. No, nothing of the kind. He writes to her, that is all. She has never replied. I do not know if she even receives them. Ah, that makes more sense. If Gaston were in secret contact with Cassidy, he ought to know her better than he seems to. So he's been writing her letters of devotion, quite hopelessly, for a long time? We get to pick between sweet or obsessive. I think it's a little obsessive, but I want to be polite, so we're going to say that's sweet. I think that's rather romantic. I think anyone would find it hard to say that Gaston is not a romantic. Is that the sort of thing you'd want in a future husband? Grandiose gestures and chivalry? I am not thinking about a husband. Well, neither am I, really. I couldn't afford one. But someday... Someday? I don't know. Someday. I'm not sure why I'm telling her this, since honestly, I don't even know what I want for my future myself. I don't want to be alone, that's all I know. I suppose the truth is that I've never had a close female friend. As a child, I was isolated. There was only Juliet, and we never shared things that Colette and her sisters apparently do. And then, once I came to the royal court, my life was Oscar. His sisters were part of the environment, but they were not my friends. So there's never been anyone for me to talk about romance with. What do you think about love? Has there ever been anyone special for you? Just then, our conversation is interrupted by the sharp bang of the open door. Colette! Mathilde! Come at once! What's happening now? People are clustered in the presentation hall. Mostly noble guests, not servants, although a few still linger. Like Colette, I hover in the shadow of Gaston, but no one seems to be paying me particular notice. A different uniform, a different, more timid posture, and no reason to catch anyone's attention, especially when their attention seems to be drawn elsewhere. Will not be making an appearance. She is resting. How do we know that one's the real one? How do we know there is a real one? I told you so. I told you the princess was an imposter. Silence! There is no imposter. That's right. Dolores told me that first night that there were rumors about Cassidy being an imposter. My disguise and the ensuing search may have stirred up more confusion than I anticipated. The infiltrator was in temporary disguise, which was easily seen through. Oh, it was it? Then how would he explain the guards losing track of me? Spin your tale too quickly, and it can be easily unraveled. The infiltrator has now left the palace, pursued by a highly trained squadron of guards. Of course, his fiction will cover my tracks for the moment, and the rest isn't my problem. The princess has been through a great deal of strain and is resting. She will see no one. No person of any rank, not even the wisdom herself, shall be granted an audience. Anyone attempting to breach that order will find themselves in the dungeon. Oh dear, it seems that contacting Cassidy will be more difficult than I had expected. How do we know she's even here? Yes, Prydrick, do tell. Out of the shadows steps Duke Farod. How are we to know that your daughter remains in good health? Surely you wouldn't hide such important information from the peers of the realm. No one is surprised by your interest in such events, Farod. Nor would they be surprised if it turned out that this missing infiltrator was in your employ. Perhaps they would not be surprised. I, however, would be. Tell us, where is my cousin? Once again, Princess Cassidy is in her room, resting. This ridiculous behavior reflects poorly on all of you. You may convey your good wishes to her at tonight's festivities, and not before. Now, be gone with all of you, or else you will not be welcome this evening. With a great deal of grumbling, the crowd begins to break up. I press back against the walls, staying out of sight while people flow past me. Colette lingers beside me, her dark eyes wide. Gaston, on the other hand, stands like a rock in the stream, forcing others to make their excuses and go around. Only when the press has thinned does he turn his attention back to me. I thought you should see. It is a plot, yes? My poor princess, she has need of me, and I cannot reach her. Forces do seem to be arrayed against us. What can we do? Ah, I have it! You can go back in the same way that you came out, yes? Snatching the prize direct from the nest, like a queen of thieves. Shh, not so loud. Anyway, it wouldn't work. King Friedrich made certain that everyone heard that Cassidy is alone in her rooms, which means that it is most definitely a trap. If any of us are found trying to enter those rooms, there will be trouble. No, her room is full of guards, and Cassidy is somewhere else, but we have no way to know where. I suspect we really won't be able to reach her until tonight. What is going on tonight, anyway? In the dungeons, I lost track of the schedule. Tonight, a concert of enchiladas proclaiming the virtues of the Princess Cassidy. Music, that won't present much opportunity for secret conversation. Well, I'm sure she'll try to get a message to you somehow. In the meantime, we have to investigate on our own. There are several questions that need answering. Why were Dolores' crimes attributed to me? If she is an agent, who does she work for? And where is she now? Why did someone attempt to murder Princess Cassidy? And is she still in danger? Why did the king and his wisdom hide the truth from Cassidy? And why have they kept Cassidy and Calum apart? Cassidy said it was Calum who told her about my climbing skills. I don't believe that ever came up while we were outside of the castle. That means she must have spoken to him since our return, probably while she was planning to rescue me from the dungeon. She may be too tightly guarded to reach, but he may not be. What should we do? I will go and ask some questions, see what I can learn. You should take a walk around the palace, slow and steady. Don't linger anywhere in particular. See if you can tell where the guards are and where they're watching. Cassidy's room, obviously, but other places as well. Don't try to get into any place that they want to keep you out of. Just notice them. And then there's Colette. I will fetch food from the kitchens. You still need to eat. That's probably a good idea. I'll see you later. So now I need to find Prince Calum. Or else... Everything that's happened since we returned to the castle has been at the command of King Friedrich. I haven't seen the wisdom anywhere. The king mentioned that even she wouldn't be allowed to visit Cassidy at the moment. Is it possible that the king and his wisdom are at odds? If so, Paloma would be much more likely to have information on the current situation than Calum would. On the other hand, it's quite a gamble. Speaking to Paloma could mean a fast trip back to the dungeons for me, or worse. So we have a choice. I'm gonna look for Paloma because I don't think that Calum probably has a lot of inside information as to what's going on. Locating the wisdom without drawing the attention of the king is a tricky prospect. I can't exactly go up to the door of their private chambers and knock. Well, I could, but I would likely find myself once more a guest of the dungeons, if I were lucky. Instead, I pen a quick note alluding to trouble with the musicians that requires Paloma's personal attention. I pass that off to an unsuspecting guard and lie in wait near the location I've indicated. I am in luck. She is alone. I slip into the room, raising my head and my hands for display. Pardon the subterfuge, Your Luminance. I just wanted to talk. You. Why did you run? Why did you run and not leave? And have your guards hunt me down? Why would they? We never meant you any harm. No harm. You threw me into the dungeons for actions you knew were not mine. You threatened my prince, you blackened my name, and you forced me to give a false confession. You did all this and lied to your own daughter, in order to spare a thief and a traitor. Why? It is not your concern. Really, I think by this point that it is. You are a young woman. You have no children, no responsibilities. You don't know what it's like to be a mother or a wisdom. I have a responsibility to my prince and my kingdom, and you use those against me. We chose you to bear the guilt so that no one would die. If it were revealed that a member of our staff had betrayed us in such a profound way, can you imagine the panic? Friends turning against friends, suspicion in every corner, and we would have needed to execute her publicly. Anything else, and there would have been riots. I could not bear to see that, no matter what she's done. I don't believe my daughter could have stomached it either. But you are a foreigner. We could make excuses for you and send you home. It was the least harm. And if the page Dolores was an assassin, would you spare her then? You did know that someone tried to kill your daughter, didn't you? Did you do anything about that other than hide it? Of course we did. One of Marie's believers. Grandessa Marie, Paloma's younger sister, mother by marriage of Duke Ferrod, grandmother of the second in line to the throne. Those who support her have sought any excuse to discredit my daughter. And now, of course, you've stirred them up and given truth to their rumors of an impostor. You have no idea what you're doing. Please, I beg of you, for Cassidy's life, don't ask me anything more. You aided my children, and for that you deserve better, but when it comes to a choice, I must choose my own. Keep your freedom and stay away from my family. Wait! Is Cassidy in danger? Of course she's in danger. Why do you think we're doing this? If you would tell me what is going on, if you would tell her, we could help. No, you couldn't. Please, leave it alone, for all our sakes. At least she didn't call the guards. Is she right? Am I making things worse? She doesn't seem to have evil intentions, but I don't know her. I don't understand her, and I certainly don't serve her. As for my questions, if the wisdom told the truth, then the assassin was part of a known, dangerous movement. But despite that, he managed to infiltrate the royal guard. How many others could there be? Paloma said she didn't want to create paranoia among the castle staff, but paranoia might be exactly what they need. Would the royal family really have staged such a performance with myself and Oscar only to avoid executing one treacherous little page? Cassidy has a kind heart and would have wished Dolores spared. She might inherit that trait from her mother, but Friedrich appears less given to sentimentality. It's not impossible that they might have chosen to remove and punish Dolores more discreetly, but why not explain that to the princess? Friedrich and Paloma both have been controlling and misleading your children for many years. The wisdom implied it was for a reason, but she would not share that reason with me. And then, a snippet of conversation I overheard some days ago returns to my mind. The king and his wisdom, urgently searching for their then missing daughter, were concerned that someone might discover the truth about Cassidy and Caspian. What truth? It can't be what Caleb suspected. I have seen Cassidy. She is no man. But what other terrible secret are they so afraid of having uncovered? I'm going to pause here for another little editorializing. I didn't really dwell on it at the time in the chapter 4, I guess it was, because there was so much else to deal with. But it is so ridiculous and silly and very sexist to assume that you can tell just by looking what somebody's gender is. And I mean, we've kind of talked about this before, that gender is not genitals and gender is not how long your hands are or whether you have a bulge at your throat. None of those things have any bearing on gender. And I know that Madeline was raised in a world that is cis-sexist, a society that assigns gender based on these physical traits. So I understand why Madeline is wrong, but she is wrong. So just needed to put that out there. Confused and uncertain, I returned to the halls of the palace, only to cross paths with Prince Gaston. Ah, Mathilde, how goes your errand? Not as productively as I might have hoped, my lord. Gaston clicks his tongue at me. Not as productively as I might have hoped, monsieur. Instead of finding answers to my questions, I have found new uncertainties. There is a chance that our actions are putting Cassidy in more danger rather than less. So we have options to express misgivings or keep quiet. So we'll go ahead and express misgivings. Monsieur, does it concern you that we are acting against the attempts of her family to keep her safe? Is it right to continue on this course if we are endangering the very person we are trying to serve? Mathilde, a man does not show his love for a woman by keeping her in a cage. My beloved wishes for freedom and for the knowledge that is her birthright. Put your faith in her light, trust in her, and in your heart you will know what to do. You barely know her, monsieur. I know her. The soul of a true hero recognizes its destiny. His devotion is perhaps a bit mad, but it is certainly constant. What have you discovered in your own quest, monsieur? Not enough. There are many guards, most especially before the doors of my beloved's own rooms and those of your master. Cassidy did tell us that Oscar was being kept under heavy guard. Poor Oscar. If he has any idea what's happening, he must be terribly worried. It doesn't seem worth the risk to try and reach him without more news to deliver. I will continue to search. All right, but be careful. I think we mostly need to wait for tonight. I'll be waiting in your rooms. Yes, my Colette will see to your needs. And perhaps you will see to hers, You will be good for her, not like that last one. A cruel woman who trifled with a young maid's heart and crushed her spirit. Oh, what? Countess Viole, one of those who enjoys only the first taste of a dessert. My poor Colette believed herself in love, even requesting leave of her responsibilities to follow her heart, only to discover that the heartless crone had left without her. A countess? Surely you know that my dear Colette loves only women. Except for myself, of course, but that is no fault of hers. My charms are too much for any to resist. Colette is a Saphiste? Now, I must continue my quest. Until later, my dove. Why didn't she tell me? I mean, we don't know. This is a completely fictional world. It's not our world, but in our world, it's not safe to self-disclose all this stuff. And I've already talked about this with regard to Cassidy's gender identity, but now we're talking about Colette's sexual orientation, and obviously it's not so super common that Madeline she was surprised there. So, I can bet she didn't tell you, Madeline, because it's not safe for her to just go around sharing this with everyone, and it's also not your business. There's again this idea that the things that we privilege like cisgender or straight sexuality, that nobody has to disclose that because it's just some kind of default that we assume everyone is. But heaven help you, if you don't adhere to that default, then the onus is on you to share that with each and every person you meet. And if you don't share it, then you're being deceptive. You're hurting other people by not telling them those things. And no, that is not how it is. It's not how it should be. That is not the right attitude to take. Colette is not obliged to disclose her sexual orientation to everybody she meets. So, okay, sorry, soapbox. When I return to Gaston's rooms, Colette is laying out a simple spread of bread rolls with butter and jam, plus a platter of cheese. It's not the finest meats in the land, but it should do for now. I have even got a bit of rose water. The kitchens thought it was for Gaston. You should have asked me first. What? If you don't care for rose water, I could fetch milk. Not about that. You should have told me about you. I don't... You shared a bath with me. With what those guards saw was nothing grave, but you... I pause, losing track of my thoughts as I catch sight of the tears in her eyes. I'm sorry. It wasn't your idea. I know that. I was just surprised, that's all. I'm gonna cry. I don't like seeing Colette upset. Not a word emerges from her lips, only a faint, strangled squeak. I don't have much experience with women. That did not come out quite as I intended it. I don't have any close friends who are women. I've never had a chance for normal female interaction, and I thought we were getting to know each other, and so I was confused when you... Never mind. Telling her that she is not normal would not be much of an apology, would it? Besides, that's hardly the case. There have been men and women who love their own kind for as long as there have been men and women. It's only that I have little knowledge of the subject. And why would I? Since reaching adulthood, the focus of my life has been on preparing my prince for marriage. I haven't had the chance even to explore my own romantic desires, much less to learn about anyone else's. Please accept my apologies. I wasn't thinking. And, thank you for the food. It looks lovely. She says nothing. I really am quite hungry, so if you don't mind, I think I'll eat now. Please join me, if you like. I ate already. Oh, well, fine. I've clearly made a mess of things here, but my stomach demands its fair share of attention. I take a seat and help myself to the food that Colette has provided. As I eat, my skin prickles with the sensation of being watched, but whenever I look up, the maid is glancing in some other direction. Thankfully, before the atmosphere can grow any more tense, the room is brightened by the addition of a large amount of sparkle. Ah, good! You are getting along well. Yes, monsieur. Have you discovered anything new in your searches, monsieur? Alas, no. Nothing of which I could be certain. Well, we didn't expect certainty from this. After all, it is Princess Cassidy's orders that we are waiting for. Yes, of course. My beloved will command our hearts. And for that, I must look my best when next we meet again. Colette? Yes, monsieur. Right away. Right away what? My best clothing requires special adjustment. It transpires that some of Gaston's outfits require him to be sewn into them each time that they are worn in order to maintain a tight fit and a smooth, unbroken line. While I cannot argue with the result, I am secretly appreciative that Oscar's wardrobe requirements are less exacting. Or perhaps I should have been doing things like this all along. Sewing has never been one of my most highly rated skills. I can mend a torn seam or replace a lost button easily enough, but I've done no more than that since I was a child. It shouldn't be that difficult to improve my technique. It is only a matter of coordination between the mind and the hands, which I have. Perhaps a discussion on that subject would allow me to mend my relationship with Colette, so to speak. There we are, an appearance fit for the eyes of a princess. Indeed, monsieur. You are a feast for the eyes, monsieur. And now I must make myself available to serve my beloved's most clandestine needs. Monsieur, if while you are involved in tonight's festivities, you should have the opportunity to speak privately with Oscar, could you let him know that I am all right, discreetly? I don't know if he'll be there, and it isn't worth taking any extra risks for, but if you have the chance. You are a considerate companion, of course. Thank you, monsieur. Have patience, my lovely maids, and fortune will favor us yet. And so he leaves me alone with Colette. Ah, I was wondering. Oh? Could you show me a bit about sewing? You cannot sew? Well, I can thread a needle and stitch two scraps together. But I haven't attempted embroidery since I was a little girl, and I don't know the first thing about tailoring. Yes, your duties are different. What do you do? Climb buildings, sneak around, eavesdrop, spread rumors, check for traps, barter, read, gamble. My duties are mostly to promote my prince's interests and to keep him safe. That means learning about as many subjects as possible so that I can offer him good advice. If someone plots against him, then I'm meant to be able to intervene. If someone attacks him, I'm meant to fight back. And if nothing else will do, to take the blow for him. You are supposed to die? Well, it doesn't happen often. And you are happy doing this? I was. But no matter what happens here, my future is going to change. I cannot stay with Oscar forever. I would like to learn more, to see more of the world, but I could not. I could never fight. You might be surprised at what you could do if you had need enough. But you wish for me to teach you sewing? I am also supposed to arrange my prince's hair and wardrobe. I could benefit from your expertise. All right. Good. Now what do you want in exchange? Pardon me? Trading is a valuable skill to develop. Oh. Well, perhaps if you show me some stitching, you can tell me about your castle in Osendower. I think we can do that. Thus we arranged to pass the time until Prince Gaston's return. And that's the end of Chapter 6. So I'm going to go ahead and pause here and save the game. And we'll pick this up in another video. Already kind of soapboxed earlier, so I shouldn't continue on. And I do understand that Madeline is sheltered and a little shocked. And I get that. But just as a takeaway, we want to remember that Colette hasn't done anything wrong by not sharing her sexual orientation with Madeline. And I understand why Madeline might have wanted to be informed, but that her desire to know doesn't trump Colette's right to privacy. So just had to get that off my chest. So thank you for watching. Once again, this was a Let's Play of the Royal Trap by Hanako Games, and I will see you in another video. Thank you so much for watching along.